All right. All right, everyone. Welcome to today's stream. Today we're going to be working on some mobile game development for mobile devices such as phones and tablets. Touchscreen controlled game with some sort of drag to move mechanics that I sort of cooked up a couple days ago. Tonight's stream we're going to be focused on creating objects on the map which you can interact with, little nodes on the map such as trees and rocks and eventually doors and signs and other people and stuff that you can talk to or chop down or mine, whatever you want to do in the game. Yeah, so without further ado, let's dive on in. All right. Welcome to the stream, everybody. Hopefully I'm coming through loud and clear. This is what we've got working with so far. I'm relying heavily on a program called Tiled for this game, where we create tile maps and create object layers such as our hero spawn point and our large tree spawn point. Originally how I was doing this was I was baking the tiles of the trees into the actual tile map itself, but I think it makes more sense because they're objects we want to interact with to have them be objects in the field on an object layer, this spawn layer. So yeah, show you the game we've got so far. Gonna close that because that doesn't need to be open. Also gonna pause the music while I show you because the game has its own music. So it zooms in from your guy. You can move around like so, and these are the tile-based trees. And then this one tree here that you can currently walk under, sort of awkwardly, is the one tree that we've based on our object layer. I've gone ahead and exported both the small trees, like these ones, and the big trees as their own sprites. I'll do the same with the tree stumps, because ultimately how I'm envisioning this is going to go down is you get close enough to a big tree or a small tree. The layering will be fixed in the eventual build of this, but you get close enough to the tree, the button will say chop tree instead of menu. You click that and it'll bring up sort of like a little mini game where you're chopping the tree down. And then once you're out of that mini game, if you were successful in chopping the tree down, it'll be replaced with a stump, like this stump here. And that's basically the goal of tonight's stream, is to get it to that point. So I guess the first thing I want to get working is we already have the tree appearing as a spawned object based on its on the tile map, or the object layer of the tile map. But what I want to get working next, I think, is the layering, so that when you're in front of the tree, you're not behind it, and then when you're behind the tree, you're behind it. So basically you're behind it on this side, and then on this side you're in front of it. It's going to be a little bit trickier than how I would normally do this, because normally what I would do is I have a little trick where I basically just assign the depth of everything in the game to be the Y value of it. So like the up and down value of the character or the tree or the flower or whatever also is its depth. So the lower, the higher you go on the Y value, the more in front you are, which actually works really elegantly. But in this case, we're not going to be able to do that because we are statically defining the depths of our layers here. We might still be able to do it in a way if we define the depths of the layers as the player's layer -1 +1 +2, or -2, -3. That might work. So that's something I'm going to take a look at doing. That might actually be the way we'll do it. I'm also going to temporarily just disable the music on the game, and so we can play our cool stream music, like so. So we'll just comment that out for now. And now it should, yeah, no music on the game. So yeah, let's take a gander at that, shall we? So I think for that we're gonna need an update function. Update time delta. And we're also gonna have to specify the layers as not constants, but as objects on the in the class. So we're gonna have to say this dot blah blah blah, this dot blah blah blah. But we can do a simple find and replace for that. So we'll start by just saying this dot. Oops. This dot. This dot. This dot. And this dot. Now what we're gonna wanna do is we're gonna wanna find and replace all instances of bg3 layer with this dot bg3 layer. So we'll say replace all. Actually probably didn't have to do it that way, but whatever, this will work still. All that. Get rid of that extra this. BG layer can be like that. Get rid of the extra this. Now we want FG layer. This dot FG layer. Get rid of the extra this again. FG2 layer. We'll say this dot FG2 layer. Get it all going. Now we'll just save that and see if we've got any errors, but I don't expect we will. And it's looking pretty good to me. So now the cool little thing about that is what we can do is we can say tile map layering. We'll say, for now we're just going to console log this dot cat dot depth, I think, is the property. Yep, 0. Okay, so it's always 0, so that's good for now. So, where we're setting their depths here, we're actually going to get rid of this here. And we're going to set it in the update function. So we'll say tile map layering. We'll say this dot cat dot depth -3. This dot cat dot depth -2. This dot cat dot depth -1. This dot cat dot depth +1. And this dot cat dot depth +2. So now the layering of our tile layers is always based on the cat's depth. And then we'll add another section in our update function. Call this dynamic layering. And we'll say this dot cat dot set depth. This dot cat dot y. So this should show no obvious difference yet. It might with the object layer, but as of right now, it all looks much the same. Doesn't really feel any laggier, which is good. That's the only thing I always worry about using the update function, because this function will get called every single frame. So there is a chance that if you bog it down too much, it is going to bog your game down. And seeing as this is a mobile game, I don't want that to be a thing. But anyways, as of right now, it looks okay. So now, next up, we've got our, right now for our spawn objects, we've got just this LG trees, large trees array. So what I want to do for this is iterate through each one of them and set their depth to their Y. So we'll say this dot LG trees dot for each tree we'll say tree dot set depth tree dot y. So now let's see if we can go in front and behind of this tree to see if this works. So there we are, we're behind the tree. Oop. Ah, now that's a problem. See, when we get below the tree, what's happening is the tile maps layer is greater than the trees layer, so it effectively disappears because it's being layered behind the tiles. See, I had a feeling it might not be quite so simple, unfortunately. So how are we gonna do this then? I mean, maybe what we could do is like add and subtract like really absurdly high numbers from this. That might work. So like what if we did like minus 30, or let's say like 10,000 basically. 9998 9997 plus 9998 and plus 9999. This might be a sort of simple hacky solution. It still looks okay at this point. And at that point it looks good too. And it's not perfectly centered, but ooh, or, you know what, slightly less hacky solution. Instead of setting this based on the depth of the cat, why don't we set it based on this dot tile map dot height in pixels? Although actually this one will just be 0, so we'll say the background ones will be like the upper Y value, which will be 0 and negative. So we'll say BG layer can be 0, this can be -1, this can be -2, and then the foreground layers will say this dot tile map dot height in pixels +1. So then it's always based on the tile map's height. I feel like this might work. So far so good. And then it'll always be within range of, because we're never, our player's Y value is never going to exceed that of the tile map. So I think that's a reasonable solution. So yeah, now we just got to get a hitbox going on this object. So we've already got it as a physics object, I believe. So I'm just going to turn on physics debugging for a bit. So that's always helpful when you're dealing with collision detection and stuff. So yeah, so we've got a big old collision box. I'm going to fiddle with the collision box on this tree a little bit. Scratch my back while I'm at it, open my drink. But yeah, we'll just fiddle around a little bit with the collision box of the tree. But basically we're just going to make it so that we collide with the tree. So let's get that collision detection working first. Which should actually be pretty straightforward. Normally I would do this within the spawn points iterator, this for each loop here, where I'm adding these other colliders. But I think in this case I want to do it outside of it because I'm not sure the order that the trees and the characters and all the different spawn objects are going to come in at. So we'll say this physics.add.collider, this.cat, and this.lg trees. I believe you can pass an array into that of physics objects. So let's find out. Oh, you can push the tree. That's silly. So I think there should be a handy little helper function for this. Dot set immovable as true. Now I hope this will fix that, because if it doesn't, I'm kind of SOL on this one. I don't know what I'm going to do here. Hey, want to become famous? Buy followers, buy Prime viewers. Oh yeah, you guys nailed it. I want to become famous, all right. Hey, and look at that. We've got a tree that we can't walk through and we can't push around. So that's good. So now, let's mess around a little bit with the new tree's value. I am actually going to change this to new tree. We'll say const new tree equals that. And we'll put the set immovable on its own line. So we'll say new tree dot, set immovable true. Because we're also going to mess around with some other stuff on this guy. So we'll also say new tree set size. We'll say width. What do we want to do for the width? We want to say basically a third of the width that it's currently at. We'll say set size new tree dot display width divided by 3. Then we'll also do the same for the height. We'll say new tree dot display height divided by, I almost want to say a quarter, so let's do divided by 4. See how that turns out. Ooh, that is much smaller. But now we need to change the offset as well, because currently, and I actually think that's a little too small on the height. The width, we pretty much nailed. Like, if we're that far beside it, we can kind of walk over the roots, which is fine in my opinion, so that's all right. Let's maybe do oops, not a 43rd, a third. Oopsie daisies. A third of the display height as well. That should make it a little bit taller. Yeah, that's a little taller. That's probably good. So now we'll just change the offset. We'll say new tree dot set offset. We'll say X can be 0. See if that shifts it. Y can be, let's do like 10 on the Y. See how that looks. Ooh, doing 0 don't work. So we'll say, new tree dot display width divided by 2. Hopefully that'll put it back in the center. Ooh, it did, but it spaced it on that. So I guess what we gotta do here, I'll give these their own lines to clean it up slightly. And then the offset will be that minus the width divided by 2. So minus new tree dot display width divided by 3 divided by 2. It's quite a calculation, but that should center it. That looks centered enough to me. It also looked like we went up on the Y, so let's try minus 10. Ooh, actually it didn't, so okay. We'll say 30 on the Y. Let's try that. Getting there. Maybe 50. Okay, 50 is a little too far, so we'll try 40. Hey, Sino Byte Offsec, thanks for the follow, dude. Much appreciated. Feel free to chime in the chat. I just saw you followed. It says it's 2 minutes ago. Sorry I missed that when it happened, but I don't have any little beeps yet telling me when people follow or chat, so I'm working on that. Got that in the mix. So there you go. Now we can get blocked at the front of the tree. We can sort of... don't love that. It's probably what we got though for now, isn't it? We're gonna just have to deal with that. Might make it a little wider, a little taller, so we'll say divided by 2.5, 2.5 there too. There we go, a little wider now. That's good. So I'm not totally stoked with how the layering's working, but for now it works. Let's turn off the physics debugging and see how it feels. Alright, so now we've got a tree that we can kind of walk around. It is still a little awkward on that layering right there, because you can kind of stand like way above it for a bit and then it switches over, but I don't know how to change the origin point. Actually, hold on, yes I do. Hold on, yeah, we can totally change the origin point. Doop-de-doop. Let's do that. Let's say new tree dot set origin. 0.5 on the X is fine, but we'll do 1 on the Y. Now it's probably going to bump the actual position of it. Hey, look at that. So it's definitely doing something with the layering. Now is 1 the right one, or should it be 0? I wonder. Try changing it to 0. Okay, so now we're behind it for like a second. And then we're always in front of it, so that's not gonna fly either. You know what, before we mess with the size and the offset, let's change that, and we'll do 0.25. We'll just get the layering right first. And then after we get the layering right, we can move on to getting the offset and the origin. Oh, guess I have to turn the collider off too. Okay, so 0.25. Oh, I bet you it'll be like 0.75, because the default would be 0.5, and that was just slightly too high. So now if we do 0.75, I bet you that'll work pretty good. Hey, Juke24K, yo, love your stream. Thanks, brother. Welcome to the stream, glad you're here. Also, that is looking pretty perfect in my opinion. I'm good with that in terms of layering. So we got the layering down. So now let's put the size and the colliders back on and see if we have to tweak anything, and maybe we'll get lucky and we won't have to tweak anything, which would be cool. I think we're good, yeah. So now we can't walk through the tree, but we are layered nicely around it. Totally, I can't believe I forgot about set origin, man. That's funny. Beautiful. All right, let's turn off physics debugging and see how it will look in nature. All right. This feels like a pretty solid, robust tree to me. All right, cool. So that is now a tree that was created with an object layer that we can interact with in the map as far as colliding and layering is concerned. Let's just see that again. Okay, so that's still not quite perfect, but like it's good as it needs to be. It's as good as it needs to be. All right, so that's cool. I'm good with that. So now what I think we're going to want to do is basically we're going to create a new, yet another new array for, we'll say this dot interact with objects equals an empty array. Let's maybe call it something shorter, like map objects. Map objects. And then down here, after applying the colliders, what we're gonna do is we'll say this dot map objects equals this dot lg trees, and then we'll add any future map objects of different kinds in here to this global map objects array. And then instead of iterating through the map object, instead of iterating through the trees specifically, we'll use this map objects array. Just rename it so it kind of makes sense. Object, object, object. All right, so now we're good there. And the layering still works. Perfect. So now we've got this global objects layer, which is also what we're going to use to track the closest object to us. And then with that closest object, we're going to be able to detect what we can interact with once we're within a certain threshold of that object. All right, let's get it. So right now it just says menu, and all of the UI stuff is handled in actually a separate scene, but that separate scene has reference to our parent scene. So what we can probably do here is make a new function. Let me put it up here maybe. We'll call this set action. How did you learn this stuff, big boy? Says Juke24K. Oh, you know, just years of being a nerd. I was really curious about how video games worked when I was a kid, and I played The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons once, and I had to know how it was possible for something like that to exist in a little game cartridge, and I wanted to make my own ones one day, and now here I am making my own games, man. It's about the size of it. So we'll say set action, we'll give it an action title for now. The size of what? Ooh, good question, good question, good question. Alright, so we'll just say shit. Shid? Is that shid? Shid? I'm not up on this lingo. So we've got our button text object, so we'll say this dot button text dot set text action title. Or, well, hold on, we're gonna have to check the differences. I'm also gonna decrank the music a bit in my headphones because it's okay, stand by, you're gonna lose music for a minute. Or it's gonna blast out my speakers and sound real shitty, but there we go. There we go. Should have the music back now, but hopefully it's not as deafening. Well, hopefully it's not deafening for you, it's less deafening for me now. Oh, that's 5 head. Okay, 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 okay. Gotcha. It's like facepalm. Gotcha, gotcha. Gotcha. So because we've, you know what? I am kind of doing this backwards now, I'm realizing. Hold on. We don't really want to, we want to check something on the parent scene. You know, honestly, the easiest way to do this, probably, I don't know if this is the most efficient way, but we can always make it better later, is just to give the game UI an update function as well. Time delta, and then we'll just say this dot button text dot set text, this dot parent scene dot action text. Now it's gonna crash on me here because we don't have that yet. But that's the intro anim, that's the UI, so it probably makes sense to put it here. Action, or let's call it like player action. Player action. We'll say this dot action text equals menu by default. So now it should still say menu. Hopefully it doesn't lag out on us because we're using a bunch of update functions now. But the real test is not going to be if it lags on my computer, but if it lags on my phone. That's going to be the real test of this thing. But it's looking good on my computer, so we'll keep going. So now, now that we've got the default action, we'll have it, we'll do something in here. We'll say, I believe Phaser's math object has a little handy helper function for this. Math as pmath. We'll say, so basically we want to get the closest, or do we need the closest object, or can we just say, check the distance between all the objects? Oh geez. What's that one mean? Is that facepalm or is that something more nefarious? Hee hee. Tee hee. So basically we want to calculate the distance between all of the objects, and if the distance is less than some threshold, which we should probably define up here, say this dot action threshold equals, let's call it 10 for now, and just see what we're dealing with here. So for every single one of the map objects, we'll say const d2o, distance to object, equals pmath dot distance dot between. Kirk, I'm surprised you haven't figured it out. Surprised I haven't figured what out? I'm scared. Oh, what? That's you? No, I know that's you. I know by your username, bruh. Mr. Kelly. Yeah, bro. I knew it's you. I know it's you the whole time. Don't worry about it. So we'll say object.x, object.y. She is right. Object.x, object.y, this.cat.x, because we still haven't renamed our character from cat. Our character is a cat, will always be a cat. So we'll say if d2o is less than this.action threshold, we'll say man, I'm so behind on these Twitch emojis. I don't know what any of them mean. That one to me straight up looks like a guy having a good time, let's say. Keep this as PG as we can. Everyone knows what I'm saying, but anyway, it is what it is, indeed. So if distance to object is less than the action threshold, we'll say this dot action text equals do something. So let's try it. Hope that my game doesn't crash from, I mean, it won't crash on my computer, but okay, so 10, oh, there it is, do something. Now we're close to the tree, it says do something. Doesn't change back yet, but we can probably change it back at the start here. Equals menu, default. So menu, and then if we're close to it, it should hopefully not flicker. Do something, we move away, it goes menu, do something, menu. There we go. So 10 is obviously not close enough. Probably 20, let's try that. Do something, do something, do something. So now we're gonna need to add some sort of flag on the actual object so that when you get close enough to it, it knows what kind of object it is and it knows what the action we want to apply is. I'm actually gonna spread that a little further. I'm gonna say 25. Because that was still, I had to be right up against it. I'd prefer it if I was just kind of slightly within range. So that's cool that that default switch works nicely. But yeah, now what we're going to want to do is apply some kind of a flag to the object itself, which we'll do up here where we're initializing it. We'll say new tree dot action type equals LG tree. So now we'll say first off, we have to say if the object has an action type. Actually, why don't we put that up here? We'll say, so if the distance to the object is less than the object threshold and the object has an action type, we'll do a switch statement on the action type. Object dot action type case LG tree break, and then we'll say here this dot action text equals chop tree. Maybe we'll say chop big tree or cut big tree. Nah, chop big tree. So now we've only got the one object type, but this sets us up to have multiple object types in the future. Chop big tree. There we go. We're close to the big tree. It says chop big tree. We go further away, it says menu. Still doesn't do anything yet. Oh, except it does actually remove a chunk of the tiles, because that's something I was experimenting with last night. It just alphas out a big chunk of the tiles. But still, chop big tree. There you go. So let's see here. Now we're gonna need like an actual action. I guess we've got this object type, this action text equals that. And we'll also say, outside of the switch statement, we can say this dot action type equals object dot action type. Right, with me so far. So the global action type, as in the action we're gonna take, is equal to the object action type. We'll have to reset it, same here. So we'll say this dot action type equals we'll call it menu, or just open menu. Defaulted up here too. Action type equals open menu. Now in our game UI, what we're gonna do is in our create function, we'll say this, or actually, I think it makes more sense to put it in our existing pointer actions. Right here, we've got a case for if they push the button, right? So we can say, we'll say switch this dot action type, not text, type, case, open menu, break, case, LG tree, I think we called the other one, break. Now just console log open menu, console log start chopping, baby. See if this works. So we move around, nothing gets logged. We hit the menu, open menu. And then we got near the tree, chop big tree, start chopping, baby. All right, cool. So, I guess the next step would be to actually get those actions to, that action switch statement to do something. So we can start with the menu, but I don't want to actually flesh out the full menu yet because, quite frankly, I don't know everything that's going to be in it. And maybe I'm gonna change the default to open menu. Open menu. Open menu, cool. Chop big tree, open menu, okay, cool. This is pretty good. We've only been live for 46 minutes, but we've already got objects on the map that we can interact with, which was kind of the goal of this stream. So I guess really for the rest of the stream we can get to work on actually creating the interactions with them, which will be kind of cool, because that's going to involve making like a little mini game inside of the game for chopping the trees and whatnot, mining the rocks, chopping the trees. Yeah, for rock and for fishing, make more. Exactly, Juke24K. That's what I'm thinking. We'll do a few more, and I'll clear out all the old trees as well and replace them with the new way of making trees. So yeah, why don't we do that next? Let's get the small trees down. So we've got chop big tree, and then we'll add the small trees, get them put in, lit. Yeah, dude. So, first thing I guess to do is figure out what layer these are on. So they're on BG and probably FG, yeah. So, let's get rid of this guy. Because so far I've just got the sprites for the trees, but I can make sprites for the rocks and get something for the water too. Because yeah, fishing, that's a good idea too. I didn't think about adding fishing, but fishing would make a lot of sense. If you get near a water, pop up with a little fishing mini game. I'm into that for sure. So now, let's make a new spot roughly where that tree was. And we'll call this tree SM for small tree. Simple little water ripple effect can be an indication of something. Oh, yeah. So like randomly little spawned like points on the water where it's kind of rippling, and then like, you know, oh, there's a fish there, so we can fish at that point. I like that. So let's reload. That tree should now be gone. Oh, it's still there. Oh, because I didn't re-export it. Oopsie daisies. There we go. Now it should be gone. There we go. No tree to speak of. But we've got our tree point there. I believe I'm already loading it in the boot scene. If I'm not, I can do that now. Yeah, tree LG, so we need tree SM. If you have a rod in your inventory, you should have like a 15 square radius so you can cast it out. Kind of cool. Yeah, that would be cool. I like that. So we've got the small tree loaded in, no errors. That's good. Just presuming I actually put the small tree in the assets. Maps. Tree SM, yep, it's in there. Okay. So we've got a small tree. So now we got to do another case in our spawning here. We'll say else if object.name equals tree SM const new tree equals this.physics add image object.x object.y tree SM. Then we'll say, for now, we'll leave all that as is. And we'll say this dot. You know, I'm honestly wondering if we even need, I mean, I'll keep it for now, like keeping the trees and everything in their own arrays, but I don't really think we're gonna need that shortly. Oh, this dot, SM trees, trees plural, new tree. Make a new array here called small trees. Make sure we add the small trees into our global maps array, objects array. So we got that. Let's just try it out for now and see if the layering's there. So that's the other cool thing, is I shouldn't have to mess around with custom placement of layering. So there's our tree, and we can walk through it. It's kind of the same problem we had with the big tree, so we're gonna have to fiddle around with getting the layering just so, but it does sort of work. You can walk through it. But the nice thing about this is once we do it once, well, we only have to do it once. We don't have to do it for every single tree we add. We just have to get this one master tree perfect, and then once we get that main one down, we're good to go. Alright, so we'll also say new tree dot action type equals SM tree. So that's how we know when we get down to our update function, say case SM tree. We'll say this dot action text equals a chop small tree. See if that works. When we get close to it, it should say chop small tree. Chop small tree, there it is. We're close to it. Chop small tree, open menu, chop big tree. Alright, cool. So now let's get its hitbox all sorted out. So for now, I'm actually just going to try and copy everything from the existing big tree one and see if it works okay. And if it does, then beauty, we don't have to do anything more. But I get the feeling we'll need to tweak it a little bit for the small tree. Hey, yeah. So that doesn't quite work. The layering, however, looks pretty good to me. Actually, you could probably use going back a little further. So instead of 0.75, why don't we do 0.6? That's pretty good, right on that edge there. I'm good with 0.6 for that. Now, I think maybe we could do it a little wider for these trees. So let's say 0.2, 0.2, see how wide that looks. That's fairly reasonable in terms of how close you can get to it on the sides. I think that's alright. Now let's get the positioning back up. So instead of 40, we'll say like 20. That's close, but I think actually maybe 25. See how that looks. Yeah, that's pretty good. Now let's apply the collider and make sure it actually works. And I just realized I think we are going to need the separate arrays for everything because of the colliders, because we don't necessarily want to collide with every map object that we introduce, because there might be like people or something that we want to be able to walk through. Actually, I think it should be a little wider than that, because that's a little awkward how I'm standing right there. So why don't we just say display width divided by 1.5 divided by 1.5, give it a little more width. Yeah, that's good there. I like that. Perfect. And you can get about that close to it behind it. That's good, I think. That close to it in front of it. Let's turn off the debugging. Let's take a look at how she looks. Very nice. Very nice. Looks good to me. Chop small tree. Chop big tree. Chop small tree. Cool. All right. I'm happy with this so far. Very nice. Only thing I noticed about the big tree is you can't actually trigger the chop big tree from behind, which is fine, but might tweak that in the future, whereas you can on the small tree. But that's a fairly minor thing. That's not a big deal. All right, so why don't we do chests next? Because chests is another one that you're going to want to be able to interact with. Open chest and all that. That makes sense. Although, actually, hold on. There's one thing I realized we didn't do for the small tree. Currently, I bet you if you go near it and click chop small tree, nothing happens. Yeah. So in our pointer function right here, we just need another case. SM tree. Break there. Console log. Start chopping SM. Start chopping SM. There we go. Start chopping, baby. And open menu. All right, cool. So that's 2 objects we got down, plus our open menu, so 3 actions we have now. So why don't we clear out all the old trees next, and then just replace them with, so tree SM. We'll say it's tree LG, right? Yeah. Tree LG. Tree SM. Tree SM. That's small tree, small tree, small tree, large tree. Tree LG. Tree SM. Tree SM over here. Tree SM. Tree SM. One here. Tree SM. Let's just zoom out, see if I missed any. I think that's all of them. Yep. So now we can go in and erase all the little existing ones. Erase, 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 erase. Erase, erase. I'm glad we went with this object approach, because this is definitely, I think, the way to do it. Anything that's an interactive object should just be on an object layer. Makes sense. Okay. Get rid of all that. Really sure what this is, but I'll leave it. Possibly flowers that I messed up, or bits of wood or something? They're bits of wood. All right. Goodbye, treetop. Goodbye, treetop. Goodbye, treetop. Goodbye, treetop. Goodbye, treetop. Okay, that's all the tree tops. Now we'll go to the bottoms. Goodbye. 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 Oh, hold on. Yep, that's just a flower. Alright, that's looking pretty good. I think that's all the trees cleared out and replaced with objects. Let's take a look and test it out. And I'm still seeing trees, so it looks like chop small tree and the layering is good. Yep. Chop small tree and the layering is good. Perfect. Just really hoping this doesn't start lagging out on my phone. But you can always optimize it later, right? That's kind of the point. Chop big tree, those are the ones we just added. Okay. Perfect. Just make sure they're all good, but I don't see any problems with these so far. All right. So I guess now let's do the chests, which we can do one right here to start us off. Say about there, we'll say chest. Chest, all right. And there was another one over here. Now that one was kind of red, right? Yeah, chest red, we'll call that one. Chest red. And then this one is more of a brown chest, so we'll say chest brown. Alright, so let's start with the red chest. First thing I'm gonna do is I need to get the sprite of that chest. So, open up our tile map in GIMP. Keep the colors as they are, we don't want to convert them in this case. Zoom into about 800. No, maybe 400. Yeah, 400's good. And there's all our chests. Just saw them, where'd they go? There we go. Now I'm thinking the chests we can make actual sprites with 2 frames. Or we could do it the same way we're gonna do everything else, which is probably makes more sense. So, zoom into 800. Maybe 1600. We'll grab this guy. 1 pixel on that side. We'll say copy. Paste it into a new thing. We'll export this as Kirk games forest source assets maps, and here we'll say chest red. That's the red chest. Now we need the brown one. Should be that guy there, because we got a brown chest, a red chest, and a gold chest. Copy that, paste it into a new one, export as chest brown. Okay, so we got that. Now I'm feeling comfortable erasing the chest, which is only on the background layer, so that makes our lives a little bit easier. Now if we export and reload the game, there should be no chest behind us, which is good. Now we're gonna do first we'll load in the chest sprite in the boot scene. Say this.load.image chest red assets/maps chest red.png. Now we've got, we'll have to make a new case for chest red. Else if object.name equals chest red, say const new chest equals this.physics.add.image object.x object.y and chest red. And then we'll say this.red chests equals this.red chests new chest. Gotta instantiate that array up here. We'll say this dot red chests equals a new array. And then down here, we're not going to put the collider on just yet, but we will put it in the map objects. Red chests. Now we should see a chest again. And look at that, there is indeed a chest. That has some pretty good layering applied to it already. Perfect. Actually pretty good with that layering by default, so that's cool. Got a chest that we can walk behind and we can walk in front of. So now, let's turn the physics debugging back on. Go back to our game scene. And we'll start messing around with the physics collider on the red chest. So first off, we'll add it to red chests. And just see how it looks by default. Oh, right. That's right, we can push the chest right now, that's funny. We'll say new chest dot set immovable, true. Although, that's cool to know that we can move objects because, I mean, in theory, we could have objects we could push around, which is kind of neat. And actually, you know what? For the sake of testing, got a bug on my screen. For the sake of testing, I'm gonna actually move that chest over here and just see how we can do for the layering on that chest. So I want to see what this looks like right now. Yeah, right now you can't really get behind it. You can get in front of it perfect, but the behind is kind of an issue. So we'll say new chest, set size. We'll say new chest dot display width divided by, cut it in half, I guess. Oh no, the width actually will stay the same, but the new chest dot display display height we will cut in half. See how that looks. Okay, that looks pretty good. However, I'm going to set the origin point to right at the bottom, I think. New chest, set origin. Actually, I like putting the origin calls above the sizing calls. So we'll put that there. Bump those to their own line. 0.5 for the X, 1 for the Y. So that should bump its origin point right down to the bottom. In my mind, anyways. Or it'll bump it right to the top. Yeah, I think it bumped it right to the top. So actually we want that to be 0 then. Let's try 0. Alright, so let's move down, run around, Yep, there we go. Now we're in front of the chest, and now we should be behind it if I sneak up behind it. Though, to me it still looks like we're on top of it. It's not quite right then, is it? But first of all, let's change the offset, because that'll help us out in testing this. Let's set offset. 0 on the X, and we'll say 10 on the Y. That might be too much. Yeah, that's too much, so we'll do 5 on the Y. That's pretty close. Now, can we go behind the chest? Are we behind it or are we on top of it? Oh no, we're behind it. Yep, that's right. Okay, so that's pretty good in my mind. So now let's give it an action type. Say new chest dot action type equals red chest. Why don't we just call it chest? Keep all the chest action types the same. Okay, so that's that. Now we want case chest break console.log open the chest. Now we also need to add it in here. We'll say case chest break there, and we'll change the action text to open chest. So now when we get close to it, it should say open chest. Open chest. There we go. Open chest. Beautiful. So now I feel like we should reposition it back to where it was, which is about there. About there. Oop, not there. Interesting. Even further, actually. There we go. So that was my only real concern with using an object layer, was that we might get a little bit of, it might be a little touch and go to position the objects perfectly in the map, but really that's a small price to pay. So, open chest, open menu, open chest, open menu, cool. Let's shut off the debugging again. Take a look at how it looks. Nice, open chest, open menu, open chest. One other little thing that's bugging me is in our games UI, I think what we're gonna do is say if this dot parent scene dot what was it? I made like a lock variable that somewhere in here. Control lock, that's what I called it. Control lock. If control lock will hide the button, text dot set visible false. We'll do the same for the graphics. Visible false. And then we'll say else set it to true, set it to be visible. There we go. So now when there's the little intro animation playing, the button isn't there, and then when it's done, boom. Now it shows. Cool. So that's good. Chop small tree, good. Open chest, nice. It's all working. Oh, take your trash. Take your ash to trash. Thanks for the follow. Sorry I missed that. I still am working on getting little beeping notifications to tell me when someone follows, but much appreciated for the follow, homie. Thanks for joining our little community here, and yeah, feel free to pipe up in the chat if you feel like chatting. So So we've got chests, we have big trees, and we have little trees. We got to do the other type of chest now, which is this brown one. Got to do this guy next. Whoa, Juke24K, what's up, buddy? Subscribed at tier 1. Holy. Thanks, brother. You didn't have to do that. Needed the first. Fair enough, man. Fair enough. Thanks, bro. That's sick. So now it shows a little... Yeah, that's sick. It shows a little first next to you on the chat. That's awesome. Whoa. Pardon me. Ooh, went down the wrong pipe. Yeah, so we've got little trees, big trees, and the red chests. So now we got to do the brown chest, which is going to be basically the exact same as the red chest. Yeah, man, I'm just inputting every item on Corsair's website into a sheet while listening to you. Hell yeah, dude. Okay, nice. We already got that there. I feel like I split this one. Oh, I didn't. It's all on the BG as well. Cool. So we got that. Export that. Should make the chest disappear. Don't need to test that. What we do need to do, though, is load in our boot scene. We need to load up chest brown. Chest brown.png, make sure there's no errors, and we're good. Now in our game scene, gonna add another case, but this time for chest brown. Okay, Juke24K, here's a question for you, bro. In the tile map editor, we're differentiating between brown and red chests. Do you think it should actually show on the button instead of open chest, open red chest, open brown chest, open gold chest, or should it just say open chest? What do you think? It's a tiny little detail, but the little details matter, you know? Oops, got that in red chests right now. Let's put this for brown chests. Brown chests. Make a new one for brown chests. Brown chests. I was pissing, ask again. Fair enough. So when you get close to a chest, right now it just says open chest, but we have 3 different types of chests. So do you think it should say open red chest, open brown chest, open gold chest, or do you think it should just say open chest? Little detail, but we can change that really easily. So right now we have 1 action type for all the chests, but we could switch it to have multiple action types for each different kind of chest. So that's the question. Depends on how in-depth you want your item system to be. Yeah, fair enough. Good answer. I was thinking the item system on this game would actually, hopefully, be fairly complex because I'd like to introduce some kind of a crafting system. If you're going to be able to collect, you know, bits of trees and bits and rocks and all this stuff, then you should be able to craft with them too, right? So like, if you can collect materials, I want you to be able to do something with those materials, and then there is going to be a battle system as well, so maybe you can make your own weapons, make your own whatever, make this, make that, but yeah. See if that other chest appears yet. So yeah, here we go, there's the brown chest, open chest, and the collision and everything looks good, as it should, because it'll be the exact same as the red chest, because it's the same image, just a different color. But yeah, like maybe the different chests could like signify the different rarities of items that are in them, perhaps. In which case I think it would make sense to show open red chest, open brown chest, open gold chest. So I'm thinking the gold chests could be like the max rare. Like here. Oops, lost GIMP. So these are all the chests we're dealing with. We've got a brown one, a red one, and a gold one. Well, a boss chest or a boss drop depends on what you want to do. Yeah, okay. I see. You know what, for now I'm just gonna leave them as chest, and then we can revisit that when we start working on the item system, I think would make sense. Because when we start working on the item system, we're gonna actually have to make something for this menu. And then, yeah. So, yeah, we'll see. Alright, so chop big tree, chop small tree, stump does nothing, chop small tree, yeah, and open chest. Alright. So I'm pretty good with all that so far. The only other object I can think of making right now would be like a rock for mining. And maybe the door as well, like open door. And actually, open door would probably be the easiest one to make. We'll have to refactor how we're doing the maps a little bit to add different multiple maps, but transitioning to a new level would probably be the easiest thing over like working with mini games and stuff. So yeah, why don't we do the door? Or you know what? No, why don't we actually start working on one of the mini games? That's kind of what I want to do with the rest of this stream, is start working on like an actual mini game for chopping trees or something. Chopping trees, I guess, because that's what we got right now. So yeah, let's do that. Why don't we start with the small tree? Start chopping SM. Small tree. So I feel like this is going to require a little bit of messing around. But before we do any of that, I think what I want to do is export the different stumps if GIMP will cooperate. So there's the stump for the big tree, and there's the stump for the little tree. So first thing let's do is let's just make it so it just converts it instantly into a stump. So we can copy that, paste that into its own file, export that as stump SM. Okay, stump SM is exported. Let's do stump while we're here. While we're here, why don't we export the big stump too? Oops, if I can find it. That would be the big stump there. Yes, big stump. Okay, we'll grab this stump here. Copy that. Paste that in there. Export that. Stump LG. Are they the same? No, they're not the same. Yeah, they're different. Okay, cool. Okay, so let's, in our boot scene, load in this.load.image stump SM assets / stump sm.png. No, oop, stump SM was not found. Oh, because it's not assets, it's assets / maps. There we go. Okay. Got our small stump loaded into memory. Now, I feel like the easiest way to do this will be when we're spawning the tree, we'll also spawn a stump, and we'll just like link it somehow so that it's like the tree's corresponding stump is this one. Set it to invisible to start, yada yada. I know how we're doing this. So here we go, small tree. We'll say const new stump equals this dot add, this dot physics dot add dot image object dot x object dot y stump sm. We'll say new stump. As always, set immovable to true so we can't push it around. And for now, let's just see how this looks. So we'll say new tree, new stump. See if we can see it. So this should actually affect every single tree. So there we go. There's tree, stump, 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 tree, stump. So that's good. It is showing it in front of it, which is nice because I want to be able to debug exactly where it's sitting. Turn that back on for now. All right. Actually, maybe turn that off while we're aligning them. So I feel like those purple lines are going to get in the way. All right. So first off, let's set the origin to be, I don't know if we're gonna actually set it to be the same as this tree. So we'll say new stump, set origin 0.5 centered for the X as always, but we'll say 0 for the Y. See how that looks. Oh, that's actually already very close, if not perfect. Yeah, that's actually pretty bang on, in my opinion. So now let's turn this back on. Oops. Our debugging. So we can see what the collision box is going to look like. So right now it's huge and we can't really collide. Well, we can collide with the front of it. Although, actually, do we even really want the collision box to be any... I think realistically that'll actually work fine. So let's say new stump, set visible false. Now you can't see it. Let's turn that back off because we're done debugging the collision boxes for now. So now when we say chop small tree, we want to link the tree that we're chopping to the actual... this is going to be a little bit trickier, but that's okay. We can figure this out. We'll say new tree dot stump equals new stump. So now we have a link on the tree to the stump. It should be all that we need. Hopefully that doesn't throw an error. Nope. Okay, so we've got a link to the stump on the tree. So we also, I think, are going to need to say, because we're handling the action execution in a different place than the action setting, we're going to have to say action target equals null by default. And we'll say that there too, action target equals null. Now we'll say action type is the object.actionType, but we'll say action target is just straight up the object. Now that we have a reference to the tree when we get close to it, down here in our pointer down, we want to say small tree, start chopping small. We'll say this dot action target set visible false. This dot action target dot stump, because we know we'll have this for the small trees, dot set visible true. And that should be enough, really. Let's try it. See if we can run around and chop all our trees in one hit. Boom, stump. Boom, stump. Boom, stump. Cool. It works. Boom, stump. Boom, stump. Boom, stump. Ha ha. Feel like my little stream thing isn't working again, but whatever. My little replay buffer. I tried to capture that cool stump moment. Oh, just the I was trying to record the stump chopping action, but it didn't work, I don't think. But there you go, chop small tree, boom, stump. And how's the collision box on this stump? Yeah, we could get a little closer probably, but I'm not too worried about it. I think that's fine for now. Have we stumped all of them? Here we go, stump this one, stump. Cool. All right, so we can convert our trees into stumps now. So that's sort of how I'm, oh, excuse me. Okay, how I'm envisioning this is gonna go down is we're going to get close to a small tree, and when you hit chop tree, it'll bring up like a little mobile mini game where you're chopping the tree down. And then once you come out of the mobile mini game, if you were successful in chopping down the tree, now you see a stump. That's what I was picturing for this guy. So, now the question is, do we continue and do we make that mobile mini game, or do we get the stump action ready for the big trees? I think we're gonna get the stump action ready for the big trees, and then we can start on one of the mini games. The only reason I'm delaying starting on the mini games is because I feel like I'm gonna have to draw one of these trees in a bit better detail with for our minigame version of the tree. And I don't actually have my drawing tablet all set up right now because my Stream Deck claimed the one remaining USB port. So the drawing might be a little touch and go, but I can usually draw trees okay. Trees are not too hard. But there we go, chop small tree, boom, chopped. All right. So let's do that same action for the big trees. So stump small, we'll throw a stump large in there. Got a stump large loaded in, no errors loading it, good. Now, basically how we're doing the new stump and referencing the stump small action, do the same on the tree large. Just see if it works, see how it looks. Gonna keep it visible to start just so we can see how it lines up. It doesn't quite line up, does it? Also looks like it's a slightly different color, but I'm gonna let that slide. So what can we do to fix that? 0.25 on the origin Y, perhaps? Oh yeah, that's close. Very close. Let's bring it back like maybe another 0.2. Let's see how this looks. Looks much the same actually. 0.2 maybe? Am I getting further or closer? That's the question. I think I'm getting further, so let's do 0.3. See how that looks. That is very close. 3.2 maybe. And then I'll stop messing around with it and just get the functionality working. Yeah, that's as close as it needs to be. So we'll set it to invisible, reference the stump, and then for down here, I don't think we have to change anything, no. But in our pointer down function, we'll say basically the exact same thing, but for the big tree. All right, let's try it out. Big tree, we get close to it, chop big tree, boom, now it's a stump. Cool, that works. Chop down, chop that tree. Chop that tree. How's the oh, the collision is way not good on the stump though. Okay, so we're gonna have to debug the collision a bit on the stump. Which is fine. Could do that. So that will be in our tree large case right here. Just occurred to me too that the stump is actually kind of going to dictate the collision a bit more. Oh yeah. Oh. Hello. Oh, that's weird. Oh, because we're not actually adding that stump in here. Right, okay. Okay, so there we go, we're chopped. But yeah, the issue... Maybe if I set it to active, false, and true. Set active. Let's try that. False. So the new stump is now inactive. And then when we pointer down it, say this dot action come on, action target dot set active true. Now what I'm hoping is this is going to disable the collision box while, and it sure didn't. Shit. Okay, let's see. First Google search of the stream, 1 hour 45 minutes in. We're doing pretty good actually. Phaser 3 temporarily disable collision. Yeah, toggle on and off collisions based on something. Hi Peter, if you're trying to disable collision with your player object, you can do so by setting, or if you would like to disable colliders in a group, okay. Do we have a setter and a getter function for this? Set. Nope. Dot body dot set enable. No. What did he? I would close it, wouldn't I? Body dot enable. Enable equals true. Okay. Yo, for StreamKit, we should offer desks and chairs or nah? I don't know. Like, I feel like it would be something that would go good with the other items, but at the same time, I feel like shipping them might be a nightmare. I don't know. My main concern would be shipping them, which I know we don't have to deal with directly in our how we want to do this, but still, shipping them could be problematic. I was going to say we are aiming dropship. Yeah, for sure, exactly. But I still worry about like what happens if they get all fucked up in shipping and then we have to deal with returns and that kind of shit, you know? My only concern. But if you don't think it's a concern, I say we do it, cause yeah. If no shipping issues, then yeah, I guess we should. That's manufacturer. Okay, then yeah, man, let's give her. Body.enable false by default. Now let's see what this does. Hey, look at that. I think I can walk through it now. So I want to see what happens when it enables it when I'm halfway through it. It doesn't re-enable it. Okay, so it's not like the end of the world, but it would be nice if I could do that. Not enable is false. And what did I do for pointer? Oh, action dot stump dot body dot enable is true. So okay. Easy to deal with. Okay, then yeah, man, if we can swing it, then hell yeah, I say why not. There we go, now we can collide with the trees, or the stumps. And, in fact, we can say action target, enable body false. Do the same thing with the small trees. Oh right, but we gotta default it to enabled false, which will be tree SN. Take that little bit of code right there and drop it right there. Let's see. See how this works out. Yeah, okay, so it's disabled. Drop it. Now it is enabled, but it's also changed, which was strange. Chop it. This was the one that was actually causing like visual issues, so yeah, that's fine. That works. So turn that back off and let's take a look. $83 item lines for Corsair for all individual items. Logitech is gonna suck. No kidding, man. That's a lot. I don't know how you can deal with spreadsheets like that, man. I could never. Spreadsheets make my eyes hurt. Oh, what? I just walked through the tree stump, but I guess that's because I was overlapping it when I was standing in it, but once I'm out of it, I'm out of it, so that's fine. I'm also thinking, look at my Facebook message. All right, look at your Facebook message. I've got my phone on, oh geez. Yeah, the spreadsheet. Holy cow, man. Gee whiz. Sheesh. Gonna be like 200 to 300 lines on this shiz once it's done. Man, that's a lot. Hats off to you, sir. You get to look at my bald spot, because that's impressive. I don't know how you could do that. I would tear my eyes out. Although I guess I stare at code all day long, so I guess it's apples and oranges, but you know. We need to do so, or we need to so we know our margins on every item. Okay, yeah, I guess, fair enough. That sounds important. Okay, so we've got our tree chopping action. Now we're gonna need... Now we're gonna need our little tree chopping mini game. So the question becomes, how are we gonna do the tree chopping mini game? My thoughts were, you get up to a tree, hit chop tree, and it does like a little quick zoom and fade out animation, like a little zoom in and then fade to white, fade back in from white. Like a crossfade would be cool if we can swing that, but I don't know how to do a crossfade between scenes, because I am thinking that each mini game is going to be its own scene. And we'll just basically pause this scene, and then we'll start running the other scene in parallel. So, I guess let's start with the small trees like we were originally going to. So instead of this is what's going to happen after you chop the tree. Dee Dee! Hello, Emily. How are you today? Hanging out with myself and Mr. Kelly. After mini game. Here. Em, check out what we got now. Ready? Look at this, 4 viewers. Oh, I only see 2, but okay. So Emily, check this out. Now we've got this little button at the bottom, open menu. But if you get close to a chest, it says open chest. That doesn't do anything yet. But if you get close to a tree, oh, that dude. It says chop small tree, and then you can go blam, and now it's a stump. Chop small tree, blam, now it's a stump. And then you can go chop big tree, blam, now it's a stump. So how about that? And you can't walk through the stumps, they're all there, and everything is managed in our map editor. All the trees are little gray boxes now, but yeah, I'm quite pleased with this. So, the next thing we were working on is actually starting a mini game. So we'll say init, oh, this is large tree. We want small tree. Yeah. So that's what happens after, excuse me, after the mini game finishes. Whoa, one more time. All right, one more time. So it comes in on your character all nice. You can open the chest and you can go blam, chop that tree. Blam, chop the big tree. Let's do the small tree. Blam, chop the small tree. Blam, chop the big tree. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Blam, chop the big tree. Tree chopping action, baby. So anywho, we've got our tree. So now we want to init the mini game. So we'll say init small tree mini game. DD. So yeah, init small tree mini game. So this is where things are going to get interesting. We're going to have to look into running scenes in parallel, which I am already doing slightly. What I think I'm going to want to do is say this.cameras.main. You should put Kelly in it as a troll. How do you feel about that, Kelly? You want to be a troll in the game? Dot zoom to, and we'll say appropriate, says Kelly. All right. We'll zoom to 6. The duration will only be like 250, so it'll be a really quick zoom. And then the ease function can be linear. The force, we're not going to force it. We are going to have a pan callback. Yes, this is the function we want, which contains a camera and a progress indicator. So the camera we're not going to need to do anything with, but the progress indicator, we'll say, we'll put something in here for the UI. We'll say, where's our UI stuff here? Launch UI. So we'll say this dot fade alpha equals 0. And then when we zoom in, we'll say this dot fade alpha equals progress. So we'll set the fade alpha to the progress. And in our game UI scene, we'll have, I guess we'll do a new graphic. We'll say this dot fade GFX equals this dot add dot graphics. We'll say this dot fade graphics dot fill style is not equal to, it's a function, 0x ff, so it's white, and it will be equal to the parent scene dot what did we call it? fade alpha. Fade alpha. All right, fade alpha. So we'll say, add another condition in here. We'll say if this dot parent scene dot fade alpha greater than 0, we'll hide the button. So actually we could do or this dot parent scene. Actually, you know what? We're gonna say control lock is true anyway, so it doesn't really matter. What we will do is say this dot fade GFX dot set alpha to this dot parent scene dot fade alpha. Now we just also have to say this dot control lock equals true, and let's take a look and see if it works. So that was on the small trees, so we'll test it on a small tree. Should zoom in and fade to white. Ready? Oh, okay, so it zooms in, but it doesn't fade to white. Interesting. Oh, because I didn't actually draw anything in that graphics. That would be why. So we have to say this dot fade, oopsies, fade GFX dot fill rect 0 0 window dot inner width window dot inner height. Let's try this again. Still didn't do nothing. Why didn't it do nothing? Oh, maybe I have to set this to 1 by... Oh yeah, the fill style will have to set to 1, but then the actual alpha of the graphic will set to the fade alpha. That should work. There we go. Nice. Nice little one-shot zoom in, fade in. I'm good with that. Nice. So now basically we'll do the reverse of that on the new scene, which we will launch from the game scene when progress is equal to 1. Progress equals 1. We'll say this dot scene dot pause, I think is a thing. Pause. And we'll say this dot scene dot launch. We want a key, which will be the scene string, which we don't actually have yet because we haven't made it, but go like this. We'll save this as I guess we'll say small tree game.js. We'll say import scene from phaser. We'll say class small tree game extends scene. Constructor. Say super mini game SM. We'll just say game SM tree as the key for that one, and we'll create a create function just to make sure we know it's working. Console log small tree mini game start. Export that class small tree game. Now we want that key, so game SM tree, launch game SM tree, see if it works. Might cut to black, or it might not. I'm not really sure. There we go. Okay, but I'm not seeing the console log here. So, oh, and I know why that is. Because we haven't actually put that scene in our game buffer. So we need game, what do we call it? Small tree game. Small tree game. Import that. Put it in our game buffer, and now we should see a console log when we jump to that new scene. So let's take a look. Ah, small tree minigame start. Beautiful. So, next thing we want to do is actually make a mini game for chopping a tree down. Cool. Fun. So, just wondering about the way in which I'm really just avoiding drawing a tree because I don't really want to draw a tree with my shitty trackpad. But I also don't want to unplug my Stream Deck to plug in my drawing tablet. I'm just nervous, okay? It's been a while since I've drawn anything on stream. Alright, well, I guess I gotta give it a shot, so here we go. Let's go. Command N. Give it a width of, say, 250, a height of like 500. That's a pretty reasonable sized tree. Add an alpha layer. Or channel, rather. And yeah, zooming into 200 is a little much, so we'll zoom to 150. Still a little much, but only a little. Alright, so let's grab the tree that we're actually working with as a reference. This guy here. There we go. So it's kind of like a piney sort of tree, right? And it doesn't have black outlines. It is a colored outline, so let's make our brush something like that. A little smaller, so like 25. Smaller still, so 15. Yeah, that'll do. Color. I want to match the colors as best I can to the colors we're working with, so I'm wondering if it should be a little wider. I think it should be. So we'll say new again, but we'll do 300 by 500. Yeah, that ought to do. Discard that. Add an alpha channel. Now people, don't judge me on my terabad drawing skills. It's been a while, okay? So actually, why don't we start with the lowest color? Which is kind of like this. Or even that outline color would be good. It's almost a blue. Purple, actually. So I'm doing this all with a trackpad, remember? See if this will cooperate. Gives it a little bit of a pixely edge, but I'm okay with that. Now let's grab the next color up. Alright. Now it looks like that blue kind of persists up for a bit. So make a couple more levels of that tree going up. We'll say that. Okay, about that. Dump that in. Okay. And then the lower branches have this color, sort of as their base coat or whatever. Maybe make our brush a little smaller for this part, a little more detailed. Okay, it's looking all right. Okay. Why does the troll have a crown beside his name? Curious. Emily, he has a crown beside his name because as of this stream, Mr. Juke24K has become a subscriber. He has subscribedized to my channel, meaning he's paying, what, is it $5, Kelly? He's paying $5 a month to, get a crown beside his name and eventually cool other benefits on my channel that are TBD. Because I'm a classy streamer. Got all that stuff figured out. What a suck up. Well, that's one worldview, I suppose. Alright, let's see. Got that ought to do. Ooh, the dump really didn't dump very well. That's okay, we can fix that up. Cleaned up. Long as he can't kick me out. Well, no. I'd need to make him a moderator for that, but we'll see. You best watch yourself there, DD. So guess now we're gonna kind of, what point does it start? About the middle it starts showing those green. Shade throwing. Shade. Yes, I'm up on the new kid lingo. I know exactly what you mean. Yes, yes. Yes. I feel like you explained shade to me already, but I already forget. Man, this is how I used to draw the graphics to literally every one of my games. I don't know how I did it, man. Granted, they weren't awesome. They weren't that great, but like, still, it was a lot of work drawing on a trackpad, I must say. And again, we've got some weird edges going on. This tree is looking pretty bonk. I don't feel like this was the right way to draw the tree, but oh well. It'll work for now. I can always make it better in the future. Alright. Pretty whack looking tree, but oh well. DD. Now is that the green we're working with? Yes it is. So we're on to the final top bit of green. There we go, tree done, more or less. Done as it needs to be. Looks like a wacky tree wearing a weird sweater. A little bit unusual, but we'll still love it the same. Won't we? Won't we, folks? Throw another layer on the back for the stump, which will be kinda this color. I probably should have left more room for the stump. Maybe move that guy up a little bit. Didn't really give us that much more room, but whatever. Oops. Our stump layer. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna extend this image out a bit. Say, where is it? Image properties, new. Image, resize image or something? Oh, canvas size, here we go. So, let's go, oops, not center. We'll say 1. Oh no, that's offset. We want height. There we go. Perfect. Now we got a bit more space to work with on our trunk. So now we want to do, wow, drop my vape, and then we want, oh, you're so smart. Thank you, Emily. That's very nice. We want to say layer to image size. Now we can work with that extra space. Oh. Oops. No, what am I doing? Ah. There we go. Come on, come back. Fine. Layer layer to image size. Whoa, what did I do here? Paintbrush. Okay. Make it something like that. Oh, yikes. NickDev666, the back camera ruins it. Really? Ruins what? What does it ruin, NickDev? I'm curious to know. It's flickering. Oh, yeah. True. Can see if I can do anything about that. Might be able to de-flicker it a little. I won't be able to get rid of it completely, but that kind of makes it flicker on the side. How's that, NickDev? I've got a little bit of flickering on the side of the screen. Is it glued or something? No, it's well, what do you mean? What do you mean glued? Like glued to my screen? No. All right, so we'll get the stump out a little more. All right, and then we can fill it in, and there we go. Now we got a tree with a bigger stump. It's a little huge, but it'll work. You're doing high-res pixel art, or will it be compressed? No, not really. I would even hesitate to call this pixel art, not gonna lie. Oh, that's why that's showing up there. But no, NickDev666. No, this is just kind of like a little placeholder graphic in my game until I find something a bit nicer for a little mini game we're working on within a bigger game where you chop down a tree. Eventually, I'm hoping to get something a little nicer, but for now, this is just a little placeholder game art thing. Just fix that up a touch. That ought to do. Now let's just get some of the other shading colors. Maybe like this darker one. Put that along the bottom and the top. Something like that. Fix up the little dots. And there we go. And then we'll do the same along here. All right. And I think we had one more color we could work with. Yeah, like much lighter color that we can chuck in the middle. So let's do that. Something like that. That ought to do me. That'll do me fine. Dump that in there. And we're about ready to get this into some code. So that's fine. It's a tree. Save it. Might as well save the XCF file actually. We'll go Kirk Games, Forest, no build, tree SM. save that. We'll export it as treesm.png, but we want to put it in source assets. We'll make a new folder for mini games. Drop in treesm there. All right, now back to our game. So far we've got chop small tree, it zooms in, starts the mini game. Now we need to load in that image we just drew. So forest map, we'll say small tree mini game. This .load.image. We already have a tree SM, don't we? Yes, we do. We'll say mg tree sm assets slash mini games slash tree sm.png .png. Does JS compile to APK, asks NickDev, or build? It doesn't compile directly to APK, but what I do for my games, if I want to release them on Android, is I'll wrap it in a native web view and just have like a local server running on the device that runs the web code through a native web view, and then you can build all of that into an APK. All right. However, NickDev, I'm not actually planning on what am I trying to say here? I'm not actually planning on compiling this to a APK. I'm actually planning on keeping this just a web game that you can play on your mobile device. Have you tried Unity? There you press build and it's done on any platform. I've never tried Unity, but I have messed around quite a bit with Godot, this game engine, which has a similar build process where you can build for, yeah, basically any platform. All right, so we'll say this dot. I just realized something that's going to be kind of problematic, but whatever, we'll deal with that in a minute. This dot tree, this dot add dot image, say window dot inner width divided by 2, window dot inner height divided by 2. Keep it right in the center. You're a Unity guy without game ideas. Okay, okay. Yeah, the ideas are definitely a hard part, aren't they? I've never worked directly with a game designer before. I've always kind of designed and developed my games at the same time, which, yeah, that's why I'm wondering what others do. Yeah, fair enough, man. That's cool. Commercial ideas, without commercial ideas. Okay, I gotcha. That makes it harder. Yeah, it does, for sure. It's kind of shitty that you have to monetize everything. My idea for what I'm going to be doing with my games is basically I'm going to be creating a membership website where all of my games are web games that you can play on this membership website, and then you just subscribe to the membership website in order to unlock access to those games. That's my whole idea for commercializing my games. But I feel you. The commercialization part does make it harder. Every genre or stream or style has its existing giant game on Steam, so that's my problem. Oh, yeah. So you're targeting Steam then, hey? That's a fair choice. Steam's a pretty epic game platform, marketplace for sure. Let's see, what was I doing here? MG tree SM. But, however, I did just realize there is going to be a slight issue that we could do a hacky workaround for here, but basically the alpha of our fade is actually controlled by the parent game scene, which we're pausing, and then it still shows up. So that's interesting. Wasn't expecting that, but okay. Oh, I guess what's happening here is the minigame scene is overlaid on top of our UI scene, which actually in this case works for us pretty well. So I'm actually not going to fight that. I'm going to work with that. Any voxel game gets labeled as a Minecraft clone FPS, Halo clone RPG, Path of Exile clone. You get what I mean. Yeah, man, I totally feel ya. Which is such a shame, especially about the voxel ones, because voxels are so cool, and that's something I really want to work with in the future. But you're absolutely right. Any voxel game does kind of just get labeled a Minecraft clone, which is pretty shitty. So it launches the scene. We'll say, why don't we start it? I guess we can work with the camera within this scene. Set position. We'll say 0 on the X, and we'll say like negative 200 on the Y. Do I have any existing webcams to try? Yeah, man, I've got some kind of shitty ones on itch.io. Okay, so that moved it up. We want to move it the other way. But here, I'll send you a link for some of the existing ones I've got here. There you go, Nick Dev. Don't expect greatness out of those games. Those are kind of just little... Most of those games I actually made for a 3-hour game jam competition where you, exactly as it sounds, you make a game in 3 hours. So most of those are entries to a 3-hour game jam. Cenobite Offsec. Hey, check out my channel. I stream Try Hack Me Labs and pen testing. Oh, that's cool, man. Nice. I'll check out your stream or your channel when I'm off air, but yeah, man, that's really cool. I'd love to watch some pen testing streams. Got my ears blown away on the first one I clicked. Sorry, Nick Dev. Which one was that, Nick Dev? Let's do 500. Lasers boom of something. Okay, yeah. So why don't we say window.inner height? That way it's responsive-ish in my mind. Busted. Yeah. I think if memory serves, I've got some really loud music in most of my games. The music is loud, so yeah. Cameras.pan. Oops, main.pan. 0 on the X, and we'll say we'll do 0 on the Y. Duration can be about let's do 2000, so it's kind of a slow one. We'll say linear for the ease function. Force false. Just use sound effects on 60% volume and no music. Okay, yeah, fair enough. Camera pan callback will be camera and progress. All right. Let's say if progress equals, that's a better experience. Okay, yeah. What makes it a better experience in your opinion, Nick Dev? Curious to know. Well, that's weird. I don't see my tree. Why don't we see the tree? That's bizarre. just put it at 0, 0 and see how that looks. In jam games, you don't have a volume slider, so you can't mute or lower the music, so most people Alt F4 and you get bad ratings. Yeah, fair enough, man, that makes sense. That game jam that I enter, most of the people rating the games are pretty tame. They're not too harsh because all the people rating the games are also the people making the games, because that's how that jam works. But I see where you're coming from for sure. Yeah. Still, this is weird. I'm seeing the it is console logging that it's done after 2 seconds, but it doesn't really seem to be panning. I wonder if it's if we do negative. Don't think this will make any difference, but just take a look, see if it does. Chop small tree. Yeah, still don't see the tree. All right. Is it actually pan to move it? Yeah, it is. Okay. We say this.tree.x, this.tree.y. Let's try that. Yeah, so it says done and then it doesn't actually show the tree. Super weird. Get rid of that set position and see what happens. Hey, there we go. Now we can see the tree at least. Window.inner width divided by 2. Well, I guess it actually doesn't matter if we're moving the camera around the tree. We can just put it anywhere in the world. Shouldn't matter. So set the position to 0 on the X. Let's just say, I don't know, like 200 on the Y and see what happens. Okay, so we run down here over to our tree, yada yada, chop small tree. Oh! That might have been the problem right there, is that it was clipping. Why was it clipping? Oh, we've got a new mystery to solve, team. Why on earth was the tree clipping? Huh. I wonder if it has something to do with this game UI scene. Maybe it's like layering over it or something and throwing it for a spin. Let's just temporarily set the fade GFX to invisible. So we're not going to get that nice fade effect, but maybe we'll see why. Okay. Interesting. Right, and we're not going to get that background, but I still see the clipping, which is what I'm concerned about. So no, that's not the problem. Okay. That's so weird. Why is it clipping? Oh, no, hold up. I know what's going on here. I'm actually moving the position of the camera, not set pan, set pan 0 on the X, window.inner height on the Y, duration 0, so it should do it instantly. Then we start it again. Let's try this. Still no bueno. Although, maybe, this is weird. Let's see. Reposition, camera, phaser 3, camera. Camera.set viewport, set position, but that's the actual position of like the camera's game object, which is not what I want. Set scroll. That might be what we want right there. Set scroll. Set scroll. Oh yeah, right. Okay, so set scroll to that, then panned the tree into view. In my mind, this should work. Okay, not bad. I'm hoping though more for like a straight down instead of kind of on an angle. Like the angle's not bad, but it's just not what I had in mind. So maybe what we can do here, just drop these onto their own lines. And then we'll say window.inner width divided by 2, and we'll put that as negative. See what that does. See if that centers it nicely. Or if it does something cray-cray. Nope, that centered it pretty good. All right. Yeah, so I'm pretty good with that. See that one more time. Okay. Well, maybe what if we did it negative window.inner height, then it's coming down from the top. That's more actually what I originally had in mind. Ooh, although that was quite, it started in the viewport. Oh, right, because, no, but still, what if we just did this? We'll say negative this dot tree dot display height. That should put it just above the tree, I think. Still didn't. Weird. Oh, it did, but this dot tree dot set origin 0.5 on the X, and it's either 1 or 0. I feel like in this case it's 0. I really should memorize which goes where, like if 0 is the top or the bottom, or if 1 is the top or the bottom, but hey, that was pretty close. Oh, but now it's not centered. Shoot. What if we just did times 2? There we go, that's what I'm going for. Alright, so we've got our nice little intro animation. Now, we're gonna try and get like a chop action, which I'm thinking in the final game will be like a left and right swipe. But for now we can just do like a tap of sorts. And actually, I just had this thought. Excuse me. So we just tap at it, and yeah, so what I'm thinking now is we'll actually split this tree into 2 images. We'll have it like there and there. So we'll save that as tree SM base. And we'll just resize this guy. We'll say image canvas size. Actually, wait, we can do this very specifically. So that's 114 tall. So we'll do canvas size minus 114, so it would be 490, I believe. That might be too small. Let's just try it. Oh no, that's right. Okay. Now we'll say layer to image size. We'll save it again, export it as tree SM top. Export that. Now this is also, we can get kind of like a chop effect. Export as source assets, minigames. Tree SM base. Now back to our code. In our boot scene, what we're gonna do is say load in tree SM top, and then we'll do the base. Now that's not gonna exist anymore, but that's okay. Get back to that. Small tree game, we'll say top. Call it top. Tree top. Replace that with tree top. Alright, that should be good. Now we should just see the top of the tree when we first load this up. I'm not actually seeing anything. Tree SM top, is that what I called it? Oh, MG tree SM top. MG tree SM top, yeah, that's weird. Why am I not seeing anything? Oh, did I save my boot scene? Yes. Triple confirm that I'm using... Oh, hold up. Oh yeah, that's the right file name, I think. Yeah, that's the right key, alright. Interesting. Oh, my bum. Let's just ditch all of the camera control stuff. Just see if we see it. Oh, and you know what else? Let's make this a little bit easier on our lives for testing. Just instead of booting the game scene, we'll boot the minigame scene. Nope, not game scene. We want boot scene. Alright, let's try this again. There we go, there's our tree. And try the camera controls again, see if that works. Yeah, there it is. Okay, not sure why it didn't work last time. It's transitioning in from the game. So, let's actually just try that again, because if that is a problem with the game scene, we should fix that now. Okay, chop. Weird. Yeah, it's not, something's up there. For some reason, are we even getting our game scene? Let's find out. Hi. Yeah, so it's not launching the scene. Weird. Oh, not weird. Because I renamed the key as well. DD. There we go. That ought to fix it. There we go. That's better. But for now, let's keep testing it this way so it's a little bit easier on our lives. Loads up the game and boom. There's our tree. So now let's see. We're gonna add the tree bottom, tree base. This dot tree base equals this dot add dot image. We'll say what we can do actually is we can say this dot tree top dot set origin. We'll say like 0 for the X, and we'll say like 1 for the Y, and then we'll say 0 for this guy as well. We'll say mg tree sm top, no, base. See what this looks like. Okay, there's our tree and our tree's base. However, that's not quite what I was thinking with how that would work. Is lining them up sort of how I want, so say this dot tree base set origin 0 0. So there you go, now it's lined up nicely. Our camera, however, is offset slightly. However, we could probably solve that with a camera offset call. So we'll say camera is dot main set offset, set follow offset? No, I guess follow offset. X will be this dot tree top display width divided by 2, then 0 on the y. Let's see if that solves it. Not really. Okay, maybe before I say, yeah, I don't think follow offset is what I want because we're not starting a follow. Oh wait, but got that for the set scroll, so let's, yeah. Now tree top.x is what we're panning to, but why don't we say 0 is what we'll pan to, which is the tree top x, so it's the exact same thing. We'll say this dot tree top dot display width divided by 2 here, so that should pan it. Yeah. Okay. Tree top dot y. We'll say, which is just 0, so we can just say negative this dot tree top dot display height. See what that does. Does that center it? Ooh, not really. Divided by 2 maybe? Well, that pretty well centers it. It is still shifting over on the x-axis, so we'll do this here. Oops. That's weird. I am getting a little pedantic with how exactly how this tree comes into the frame, but it's my game, I'm allowed to. You know what, for now let's just leave that as the intro animation and we'll actually do the tapping logic. So we'll say this dot input dot on, pointer down, give the tree some health. We'll say this dot tree HP equals this dot tree dot max HP. Say this dot tree max HP equals, like, say 10 clicks to get rid of it first to start. Maybe we'll randomize that in the future. So when you tap, we'll say this dot tree HP minus minus. We'll say if, or well, actually we'll say if this dot tree HP greater than 0, then we will say this dot tree HP minus minus. Otherwise, we'll trigger a animation of the tree falling over, which in my mind is going to work out real good because we got the tree set up as 2 pieces, so we can just rotate the top tree and have it kind of like look like it's being chopped down. So we'll say this dot, how do you do it again in Phaser? It's this dot tweens dot add. That feels right. we'll say target is this dot tree top. We'll say rotation is, I have no idea if this is looking for, or is it angle maybe? It's not auto correcting me, so I don't know, but we'll say I feel like rotation is one of them's a degrees and the other one is radians. So I'm gonna say rotation is probably degrees. Say -90. Duration can be 500. On complete is console.log tree hath fallen. Let's see what happens. So it flies into view, we click it a bunch of times. Alright, a little awkward. Didn't fall exactly how we were hoping for, but got something out of that. That was interesting. Still don't think my replay buffer's working, sadly, so won't get a clip out of that, but whatever. Let's just do 90. Click it 10 times. So what on earth is happening here? Let's make the duration like way longer so we can actually inspect what's going on with the animation. It almost looks like it's clipping again, which I really hope it's not, but also I'm going to change the max HP just while we're testing to 2. We only have to click it 2 times. Okay, so it's not clipping, it's just repeating. So I guess we want repeat 0. What happens if we do this? Still repeating. Oh, unless that is expecting radians, in which case 90 radians would be huge. So yeah, there we go. Angle is the actual one we want. Now it's not rotating exactly how I thought it would. So switch that back to 500. It's in my mind it's gonna sort of split off of itself like this, and then like well, actually that was closer, but still I think that's because we'll say set origin here, we'll try 0.5. See how that looks. We might have to mess with the camera again to get it to center. Yeah, I figured it wouldn't, but oh, that's not bad. Let's try 0.4. Zoom over. Oh, 0.4 was pretty close. It's like 3.5. 3.5. Let's try this. That's pretty good. I'll take that. Let's maybe make it a little more than 90. So we'll say negative like 100. Oops, not. Nope. There we go. 100. There we go. And then we can trigger another tween of the treetop fading away. But we'll get to that in a minute. So need to get the camera centered again, which is annoying that it won't just work magically, but okay, we'll see here. So it's mostly the X that's, yeah, it is completely the X that's giving us problems. So display width, if we just did times 0.35, will that just center it magically? Because that would be sweet. Pretty close. What if we did times the difference? So like times 0.65. No, that's less. Just a display width. Negatory times 0.1. I'm just throwing numbers at it now and hoping it'll look somewhat okay. Yeah, it's fine. That'll work. There we go. So why don't we, in tandem with that tween, we'll say cameras.main.zoom to 0.5 or like 0.75, so it's a little more subtle. Subtle zoom out. Duration will be the same, 500, or a little longer even. We'll say 1000. So 1 second. Linear. Force false. Callback can be camera progress. And we'll say if progress equals 1, so if the camera is completely zoomed out, we'll add yet another tween, which we might have to specify the context for, which is that. So this for the context. We'll say this, I'm just going to copy this. Boom, because the target's the same, except for instead of angle, we want alpha to be 0. Duration can be 500, that's fine. Repeat. Tree hath fallen, tree hath disappeared. Now let's try it. Tree comes into focus. Chop, chop, chop. Oh, this dot ease is not a function. Where did I say this dot ease? What? This dot ease? Oh, did I spell linear wrong? Yeah, I did. Linear. Linear. There we go. Let's try that again. Chop, chop, chop. Nice, that's pretty cool. I want to say a little longer and a little more zoomed out, so we'll say like 2.5. It's a little less subtle, but chop, chop, chop. Cool. I think 2.5 might have been a little too far, so let's do like 4. Maybe like 1000 is still fine. Chop, chop, chop. That's good. I like that. All right. So now we have to figure out how to... So yeah, let's test this in our actual game, see how that looks. So back to our boot scene, comment that guy out, comment that guy back in. Now we're back in our game. Run around to find a tree. Chop small tree. Here's our tree. Chop, chop, chop. Boom. And away it goes. Now we need to get it back to the main scene and replace the tree with a stump. So let's do that. Let's see here. We got a game scene. So we're launching this stream. We can, or this scene. We can pass a reference to this dot. What do we want here? We're gonna need like a function or something to zoom the camera back out and get the fade alpha to change back. So we'll say parent scene this. Then in our small tree game, we'll say, so you know what, why don't I do something here? Just had a thought. This will probably be much nicer viewing experience for all you guys. Get this here. Toggle screen to the left, I guess. That can go to the right. How's that look? I just want to see how this looks on my stream, because this might be way nicer to look at for you guys. You can more or less see the game. My head's a little bit in the way, but pretty good. You can see the code, that's the important part. So, chop the tree. Chop, chop, chop. Boom. Cool. That works for me. So now, let's see, what do we want? We want our small tree game. I'm gonna move this over there, make our lives a little bit easier switching between them. So we've got a parent scene now, so we need an init function. Init parent scene. We'll say this dot parent scene equals parent scene. Let's just console log it to make sure that worked. And okay, if we run over, chop a tree again. Got game scene, okay, good. So that worked. So now, set the tree's max HP again to just do 5 for now, make it a little bit easier on ourselves. So the tree hath disappeared. This is the complete function we're worried about. So this one we don't actually even need. But this one, when it's completely zoomed out, what we're gonna do is, I suppose, maybe we could set the alpha on the camera, like tween out the alpha on the camera and resume. Yeah, let's try that. So we'll say, basically we'll add another tween, but this time we'll say this dot cameras dot main console log faded. See if this works. I've never tried to fade the camera. I've never messed with the camera's opacity or any such nonsense, so I did what I wanted. It faded the whole scene out. It's so cool. So in that, maybe what we should do, say, do that. I'm not gonna worry about on. Actually, we'll keep the on complete there. This is getting messy, but it's gonna be nice when it's all put together. So we'll say game scene. So we got the parent. So we'll say this dot parent scene dot resume. And then we'll say this dot parent scene dot make a game called like exit mini game. Now we need a function on our parent scene called, where are we we putting custom functions for this? Guess we aren't yet, so we'll put them at the top. Say exit mini game. And in the exit minigame function, basically we're just going to do the reverse of entering the minigame. Well, we're going to have to do a little more than that, but anyways, we'll say this is where we enter the minigame. So, do this. Zoom it back to 3, I think is what we're doing for our main thing. So we've got the scene resumed. We don't need to launch that, but we do need to stop it, but we'll do that from within it. So fade alpha equals progress, so it should fade out and unlock the controls once it's completely zoomed out. The last thing I want to do in here is handle the have another switch statement basically for what happens after the minigame, which will be, in this case, this guy. So we'll say switch action type, switch this dot action type, case tree sn break, and we'll get this back. And we'll uncomment that. Do all that stuff, then zoom out, and when the zoom out is complete, unlock the controls. And the last thing I want to do is when this fade out is complete on the small tree game, I want to stop this scene. So this dot scene dot stop. All right, let's give it a shot. Chop small tree, here's our tree. Chop, 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 chop. Ah, parent scene dot resume is not a function. Interesting. Is it dot scene dot scene? Oh, maybe it's one of these. We have to do scene dot resume. See what it auto corrects us here. Yeah, we have to pass in a scene to resume. Okay, so we'll say resume. For now we can hard code this, although in the future when we have different levels we're gonna have to do this differently. So let's try this. Boom. Whoa. What happened there? Ooh, that was weird. Oh, I know what's going on here. Because we're setting the progress again as the alpha, but in this case we want the inverse of the progress. So we want to do 1 minus progress because we want it to start at 1, go to 0. So we're doing it in reverse. Okay, I think we got this. Let's chop a different one down. Tree. Chop, 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 chop. Boom, there's our tree. And the only thing that isn't working is control lock, oddly, is not coming back. which is weird. Unless we just haven't bound... Yeah, maybe what we... Oh, geez, how are we going to do this now? Because we're calling the function from here. We'll say... dot bind this dot parent scene. Try that. That might work for us here. We'll give it a shot. Okay, so find a tree, chop it down. Still didn't work. Okay. So let's just say console log this. See if we're even getting to the end of the zoom out, which I expect we are. I get the feeling we're just in the wrong context. Chop, 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 chop. Oh, weird. It does say game scene. So what's the deal? Oh, control lock is true. Doi to doi 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 doi. So I might not even need that binding stuff. It might already automatically be bound to the right scene. I was just switching it to true and I should have been switching it to false. DD. Alright. There we go. Chop small tree and nice. We're back in the scene. Cool. It works. Awesome. Nice. Love that. Let's find another small tree and chop it down. Boom, 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 boom. Nice. There we go. Can officially chop down trees. That one's just a stump. Here's another one. Cool. All right. So we got our little chop tree mini game all set up. We've got it so it changes the state of the world map after you get out of it. Now it's a stump. Oh, this is pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with that. So I guess now we'll have to do the same for the big trees, but I think the next one I want to do is make a the chest. So the chest would be a good one, because that'll be, we can hide items in our chests, and then we can start working on an inventory and stuff, which will also tie into these trees because you'll get logs when you chop them down. Alright, cool. Let's just test if I still need to all this binding nonsense. I get the feeling I don't. Exit minigame, just call it. Nice, so yeah, we don't need that binding stuff. Chop, 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 chop. Chop, 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 chop. Boom. Cool. I'm very pleased with that. I guess the ultimate test of all this is when I get it over onto my phone. Will it lag? Will it lag? Well, we've got another 35 minutes to run in this stream. I don't think it makes sense to start on a whole new mini game because drawing the other tree is just going to take me too long, even though it's probably not the final art we'll end up using. What I do think would be good is maybe we can improve our mini game slightly. Like, what if we had like a little bounce in and out effect when they chopped, right? So like, I don't know, it probably won't. It probably won't be what, Juke 24K, the final animation. It definitely won't be. But yeah, you see all that? Oh, it probably won't lag. Yeah, I hope not, man. I've just got I've got a lot more stuff running in the update function now, whereas before I don't even think I had update functions running, so I'm a little concernicus about that, but I think you're right. I think it'll be okay. Boom. There you go. So you can chop those trees. All right. So let's improve that mini game ever so slightly. Let's give the tree a health bar first of all. So we'll say update, and we'll say right here, we'll say this dot tree GFX, or we'll just say GFX equals this dot add dot graphics. We'll say this dot won't even touch it for now. We'll just say down in the update function, we'll say this dot GFX dot clear. Then we'll say this dot GFX dot fill style. Give it the color of 0x. We'll give it like a darkish red as the background. So we'll say 99. Oops, 99 2222 maybe. Alpha can be 1. This dot GFX dot fill rect. We'll say the X can be this dot treetop dot X minus 50. This dot treetop dot X plus 50. Oh wait, what? No, that's not what we want the Y to be. We want the Y to be this dot treetop dot Y minus this dot treetop dot display height minus say 20. Width will be this dot so let's just say 100 for the width. The height will be like 20 or maybe 25, and that's that. Okay, so we clear it, set the fill style to that, then we do the same thing, but now we'll make it more of a RG. So the green will be that 100 times say this dot tree HP divided by this dot tree max HP. See if that works. And that looks like a health bar. Boom, 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 boom. Nice. Just got to position it a little better, but looks all right to me. So why don't we say, instead of that, we'll say this dot treetop dot, let's just say display width. And we'll say, instead of minus 50, actually just say treetop.x, treetop.x, and again, this dot treetop dot display width. Let's try that out. Okay. Getting there. Let's say maybe what, 3/4 of that? So times 0.75. 75. And we'll take this and we'll say minus that divided by 2. We'll copy that for our x. Now we want display width times 0.75. Let's try that out. Ah, it's still not centered. The bastard. Should it be plus that? Let's try plus that. Scrub. Yeah, man, I don't know what I'm doing. Look at this damn health bar, just won't line up where I want it to. Could just throw arbitrary numbers at it, but I hate doing that. So x is there. So x is 0. Hold on, let's get another one up here for reference. So that's 0. Whoa, no, hold on, that's not 0 because we put it at some weird origin. That's what's screwing me up. Yeah, that's so doing it based on that is not going to be helpful. 0 anyway, so it doesn't really factor in. So we'll say that'll probably be the same. Or would it be the same? No, I don't know. It'll probably be the same. Yeah, it's the same. So we'll say minus that, minus that. Let's go down here, chop a tree. So I'm just gonna throw some random numbers at it till we get it. Say about plus 50 on that. Plus 50. Let's take a look at how that. Are you single, says Emily? No, I'm not actually, interestingly enough. 'Cause you're handsome. Aw, thanks. Isn't that nice of you, Emily? Your hand doesn't count, says Juke24. You guys are funny, you know that? Let's also shift the Y a bit. What did I put the Y at? -20. Let's do -40. -40. Alright. A D just for you. Your favorite. Chop small tree. That's centered enough for me. 2 hands are better than 1. Oh, is that so now? Chop, 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 chop. Now, the only little thing I want to change on that is that you have to chop 1 extra time. So I think if we change this to less than or greater than 1, it should do that. It just might not. See what happens here. Yeah, but you got to be able to fit that, so... Ha! Funny guy. Funny guy, I tell ya. Okay, let's try this. Tree, health bar, boom, 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 boom. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Cool. Chop, 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 boom. Pretty snazzy. Chop, 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 boom. Chop, 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 boom. Now the other little thing I was thinking of is we could add like a little camera bounce effect. Actually, hold up. Let's look into the actual phaser. I know phaser has like some camera effects, so I want to just take a quick little gander at those and see what we can do, because maybe it's got like a little shake effect or something. Can you send me game for my mom so she stops asking 200,000 questions, 20,000 questions? I sure can. I'll send it over in about 21 minutes and 12 seconds. How about that? Stream's about to be done, and I'll get the latest up on the site, and then I'll send it over. But that's for super fans only, people. You only get access to the games if you're a super fan. Sorry. Yeah, camera shake, perfect. Phaser, camera shake. It's V2. We want V1, V3. V3, camera shake. Let's see, what's it got? Boom! Wow, that's an aggressive shake. Camera shake. Wow, it's literally just a function, cameras.shake. Okay, so we'll say this.cameras.main.shake and intensity. Perfect. So let's do like 100. See how that looks. Chop small tree. Boom, boom, boom. Nice. That's awesome. Love that. Put that up there so we get it on when the tree falls too. Okay, so we run around over here, chop the tree. Boom, 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 boom. Pwn that tree. Where is Kelly? Don't let him touch my mini brands. Oh. Yeah, Kelly's at home, but I'm sorry to say he did play with them a little bit. I'm sorry. I am very sorry, Emily. Doom, 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 doom. Love it. I love that shake effect. That's fantastic. Tisk, tisk, tisk. I'm totally going to use that. I knew he touched them. Yep. You called it. I'm totally going to use that shake effect in my in the fight scenes too. That's going to be really useful. So, do. Chop. Boom, 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 boom. Chop. Boom, 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 boom. So yeah, I guess the next thing we're going to be doing is adding an inventory system. That'll be fun. Then we can integrate it with the chests nice and easily. So, yeah, cool. Let's see, what other little things can we add to this? Maybe we could add like a background to this apple tree? You mean the big trees, eh, Emily? Yeah, I was thinking about doing those, but the only thing with those ones is they're still kind of... you shouldn't have a cutscene every time you cut down a tree. Why not? That was the whole idea, was like... just make the tree do that on the same screen. Oh, you mean like that little thing where it slides in? What if I just made that a lot faster? Like I could do that, where is it? Right here. Yeah, it's 2 seconds right now, which you're right, is kind of long. No, like that exact effect. Okay. Like, what about that? Now it's like faster, so it's not as much waiting around. That exact effect, but on the same screen. I just don't like cutscenes. Yeah, fair enough. But the whole idea for me was that it would like be a little mini game when you're cutting down the trees, you know? And like the amount of time it takes to cut down the tree will be dependent on like your wood cutting level and like what axe you have and all that kind of good stuff, right? So it won't be like this easy to cut them down every time. And you might get like bad swings that you miss or something, I don't know. Yeah, you know, you picking up what I'm putting down? Like, I do agree though, you're right, that transition into it was a bit long, so I shortened that up and I think that's better. But yeah, because this is going to be like a game on mobile, right? So like, I want it to be like very... my goal with this game is that you can play the entire game with one pointer, one thumb, one finger, and just hold the phone in one hand and play the whole game with one hand. And the other slightly more ghetto reason that I'm doing the sort of like cutscene chopping down trees thing is because I don't have like animations of the actual tree sprites falling over. So I just got to work with what I got, and like, because if I had a nice animation of those trees falling over like in the overworld, then like totally I would do that, but I don't, so I'm kind of doing it like this. I guess you're just a scrub. It's true, man. It's true. Scrub life. All right. What else we got here? I'm thinking one last little thing we can get in before the end of the stream is to make it so that this doesn't trigger when the tree is chopped down. Should be easy enough. Because right now it still says chop small tree and it actually still triggers the game, which is kind of a mistake. So in here, what we can do is maybe we can just say, we'll just say something like this. We'll say if action type, no, hold on. Oh, that's the pointer down. That's not what we want. We want it where we're setting the action type. Yeah, here. We'll say if object dot visible. I think it's just visible. So if the object is visible, then we'll set the action type. Maybe. We'll find this out. Okay, let's see. So chop small tree, it still works. Chop, 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 chop. And now it says open menu. Nice. That seems to work. Chop tree, open menu, nice, good. Chop small tree, boom, 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 boom. Chop small tree, boom, 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 boom. Perfect. All right, so that was easy. So open menu, chop small tree, boom, boom, boom. Yeah, it works. So we still got 12 minutes. Why don't we try and draw up a nice little background for our, get some sort of a background for our tree chopping endeavors. So like in here, we'll say chop small tree. So yeah, some kind of a background for our tree while we're chopping it. Could just be as simple as like a line with some grass and image of, I don't know. My only thing is I want it to work on tablets as well as phones, so we might not be able to get away with just drawing a picture of a certain size, because we're going to need to tile it basically. Or, well, yeah, I do kind of want a nice background. I don't really want like a Teletubby sun. Yeah, now we're talking. I feel that. Go good with my Caillou appeal right here. Hot damn. Yeah. Just trying to think of a good way to do these backgrounds. So like the really cheap way of doing this would be to just make a really big background that like in theory they're never gonna exceed on any screen, but that's totally cheating and I don't like doing things that way. But like, what would the cooler way of doing that be? Like I guess generating something could work. And I do kind of want to have like a blur effect on it anyways, so like the details won't be as important. Or we could do like a tile sprite, even though those things give me a lot of trouble, have given me a lot of trouble in the past. Not sure here. I guess if we assumed like a maximum screen height size of like 1080 for a 1080p screen, we could just do like a one that repeats infinitely on the x-axis. Either that, or we could do something that repeats infinitely on the x-axis and the y-axis for the ground, and then do the same for the sky. Oh man, why does it have to be so complicated with responsive shit? Why? Will it be daytime and nighttime, asks Emily. Yeah, eventually that's a plan, is we're going to add some really ghetto daytime nighttime effect. Oh, and Juke24K says, man, the sheet is killing me. Dude, I can imagine. That's quite an endeavor you're taking on. Also, once you're done, look at your Facebook. Yeah, I will, for sure. And yeah, good idea on daytime, nighttime. Yeah, definitely, right? I think that would be a really good system. And yeah, basically all I'm going to do is just fade it darker and lighter for daytime, nighttime, and just have different stuff based on the in-game clock. Yeah, that'll be a fun little thing to do, for sure. So now that's, yeah, still the question of how are we going to do this responsibly and responsively on this background for these guys. I guess another option is just to have, no. I was going to say another option is just to have a sprite that we just tile, and it's literally just like a texture of like forest or something, and then blur it out. But no. Yeah, you know, guys, I think that might be it for this stream. I think we're at the end now, because we got this done, and I'm really hyped we got this done, because that was my main intention. I was stoked when we got it to this point where you can just transform it into a stump. I was not expecting us to get the full minigame with the tree chopping action, followed by the fade back to the main game, but that was pretty good. So we're getting a more and more of a bucket list for this game. We want a daytime, nighttime cycle, which we can totally do. We want some more like interaction types. So we're gonna have this tree, but we're also gonna have other trees, and we're gonna have chests. We're gonna have rocks in the future that you can mine. And then we're also going to have like random encounters with enemies, is what I was thinking. Yeah, all in all, I'm very happy with how this is coming together, people. Last little thing I want to try before we sign off is I'm going to pause my music. 3, 2, 1, paused. And I'm going to re-enable the music on the game, and let's just hear how it sounds with its own music. We can put it back over here. There we go. Definitely going to need some sound effects for that, and maybe even a different music track. I think keeping the music the same for chopping trees would be okay. But when we're getting into like random encounters with enemies and stuff, definitely we'll want like a battle song. But we're definitely going to need some sound effects for that. Like a little enter combat kind of sound effect, like a little pew as it zooms in. And then we'll have like a chopping sound effect, a tree fall sound effect, and then that can be just fade out. There you go. Sound effects with Kirk. We still have to add the door as something else you can interact with. Open the door and then go inside the building. Yeah. Pretty good. Good stream, bro. Thanks, Juke24K. Thank you, sir, Mr. Kelly. Got a lot done. I'm really happy with that. All right, people. Thank you very much for watching, everyone who did. And for those of you watching in the future, hope this has been useful to you. I'm going to wrap things up there. Emily, you're finding the glory of the Twitch emotes. I love it. I love it. Yeah. Well, thanks everybody for watching, and I'll see you guys next Sunday, probably around 2 or 3 p.m. That's the usual time. Penis, says Juke24K. All right, Penis, don't get banned now. I won't ban you, but I'm just worried about Twitch. They're on their own thing. Anyway, adios, everybody. Have a great night.